Disclaimer, if the video is not of very good quality, it's because I am blind and I cannot see or adjust the picture. So sorry, but it's just what happens when a blind person makes a video. You know what I did? I called Vlogust Day 6, Vlogust Day 7. I'm not sure how to fix that unless I just take it down and repost the whole thing, which I don't want to do. Oh well. Okay, I am just not a morning person. And/or I just really need an alternative to the lift when I've got to be there at 10 o'clock. Because I end up telling them I need to be there at 9:45, and they give me an 8:30 to 9. And then they show up right at the beginning of the window or up near the top. And a lot of times when they show up, I'm able to make it out in time. But sometimes, rarely, but it happens, I'm not. This is the first time in a long time that it didn't work out. The way it works is they wait for 5 minutes, and then if you're not out, you're just screwed. They can't wait anymore. They've got to leave. And that must have been what happened, because by the time I got out there was no one out there. And, you know, I waited around for a while. Sometimes they'll just turn the car off and sit in the car waiting for me, and then come out and, you know, talk to me, you know, make sure that it's me, etc., etc. No one did anything, so I'm like, okay, I took too long to get out there, and he had to leave. Given the fact that it's only
9:09 a.m. and 31 seconds.
9:09 and the church service doesn't start till 10, I might still be able to pull this out by going ahead and getting ready to leave instead of just waking up and leaving and get an Uber. Honestly, the church is really close to... The farther I have to go, the more money it costs. But a trip like from my place to church, or from the church to this cafe that I found the other day, or from the package drop-off center, the FedEx center where I dropped off that package the other day, to home. I live so close to those places that Uber really is less than $10. That I can handle. But I'm not sure what to do. I've got an appointment with my pastor, well, my possible new pastor, the pastor of the church I'm going to today, if I make it to church. I've got an appointment with him later in the week. I'm going to talk to him about the fact that I'm going to tell him, as well as telling our inclusive ministry committee. That's what my old church called the committee that made it their mission to make the church more welcoming to people who don't fit the normal criteria of a human being. Perfectly sighted, perfect ears, perfect legs, perfect English speaking, perfectly able-bodied, and perfectly the norm. my old church called it the Inclusive Ministries Committee, and as far as I know, we still exist. We just haven't met for a while. And it doesn't really matter because I'm really, 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 to borrow from the legal vocabulary, recusing myself from that church right now anyway. Taking a sabbatical, stepping away for a while. That's what that church had. This church that I'm thinking about joining had a committee like that between the time I left and the time I thought about coming back. But unfortunately, that committee's come and gone. The guy who founded it and passed away a couple years ago, and the team just sort of unraveled. I guess the head of the team passed and the whole body just failed, which, well, the whole body of the team, I guess, just kind of failed. Well, I don't necessarily think of myself as a head, meaning I don't really think of myself as someone with a lot of leadership skills or leadership qualities or even the desire to lead necessarily. But, number one, I would make an exception for this if I needed to, because I don't believe that this particular committee has no more. I think it was great, but it's not, it was nice while it lasted. It was a great thing whose time has come again. We need to get it back up and running. Anyway, I'm going to tell this to the pastor now, or not now, but next week when we meet. And I'm also going to tell this to the team when we get it back together, because I believe we will at some point. I've said this in my vlogs before. A person that lives as close to this church as I do should not have to count on a door-to-door service that picks you up an hour and a half before you have to be there. That's just silly. And it's inconvenient because this happens. But in the meantime, I'm going to stop vlogging and finish getting ready to go, or I really am not going to make it, not even with Uber. Well, that was kind of that was like taking your life in your hands. The guy just walked out. You had the green light and the guy just...
He just walked out in front of me with no...
Well, that is how people get... You hear about these pedestrian struck accidents and... I mean, I'm not saying it's always the pedestrian's fault or always the driver's fault, but when you get idiots who just completely disregard the fact that... who's got the green light? When you completely disregard the fact that the person in the car has the green light and you're walking... Even when you're blind, you know, I don't have the orientational ability to be able to know where I'm going I don't have the orientational ability to keep track of where I'm going when I'm walking. That's why I always either take Uber or taxis or TriMet Lyft.
Yeah.
And I was going to take a TriMet Lyft this morning, but the morning just didn't pan out to where I was able to connect with them because they come so early.
Yeah.
You're either early or late, and you end up on the really early side of things, and that's what situations like that is what makes Uber really convenient and helpful. Yeah. But yeah, even when you're blind, you know, you're not really safe. I mean, it's one thing when you're blind. Obviously, you're counting on the person that can see. Right. Obviously, the one who's in the other car who can see, but. But although, even then, I mean, if you're the one that's got the red light, or if the blind person's the one that's got the go ahead to walk, then obviously you're counting on other cars to respect that and let them go.
Yeah.
But when the other car has the green light, first of all, when the traffic pattern is stopped and the drivers have the green light, the drivers are going to be driving in front of me if I'm standing on the street corner. I'm not going to walk right out into them.
Right.
And a person that can see, that's just
I think I have to.
being outright careless.
Right, I'm late.
Okay, now I'm at the cafe. I'm happy to say that whatever was wrong that I couldn't call Uber must have been fixed in the update that I just got, because I was able to call this guy. I did just change to the newer one when after Monday, so this was the first time since I'd updated, and the first time in a few months now that I've actually been able to call a driver. That makes me feel a lot better about Uber. I still have my issues going from a certain place anywhere. There are still places, or at least one place, that I'm not going to get an Uber from because it's too hard to communicate to them where I am. I mean, I can give them the address, but I don't know how else to tell them, and that doesn't seem to be enough for them to understand where I am. But in general, it's good. And now that I can call the drivers again, I'm not going to say that I'm going to replace the door-to-door system with Uber all the time. But it's nice to have them as an option as opposed to just not going places because I don't have any way to get there. It's definitely a way to leave church and either come here or go home or whatever I want to do. It's just too inconvenient to get the lift home from church because they work in half-hour windows, and if I suppose the service ends at 11:30, which often it does, or around there, then I end up with, if I'm lucky, I'll get an 11:30 to 12 window. Or, I mean, the one time I did that last time, I got like a 12:15 to 12:45 or something, or a 12 to 12:30. I don't know, but the point is, I was waiting. It's just not the most convenient way to go about it. But depending on where you're going, it might be the most cost-effective. But whether I'm coming here or going home, it is a lot more convenient to get the Uber from church after a service than the Lyft. I think in the future, I'm gonna that's pretty good. Orange Italian soda, that's pretty good. I think in the future, though, I'm gonna have to ask for a sandwich on just between two simple slices of bread instead of this. I'll switch to the back-facing camera. Can you see? Am I even recording? Yeah, I'm recording. Can you see how? I'm sorry. Can you see how thick this bread is? I don't know how far away is too far away or how close is too close, but can you, if you have vision, can you see how thick it's? In the future, I'm going to ask for just slices of regular bread instead of one of these what is this, a Kaiser roll or something? Or I don't know what that is, but it's not a typical thin piece of bread. Actually, this is kind of a nice thing to do. I mean, I could come here just even at the end of a day and get like a cookie and an Italian soda. I think these are baked chips. There's just something different about them. That's okay though, because I'm trying to eat a little healthier anyway. I'm not exactly on an extreme health kick, but just little things. I'm trying to drink more water and not eat as much rice. I still do eat rice, but I still eat them I still eat rice like just as often, but I cut back. Like I try to eat like a third of a cup per time of eating rice instead of a whole cup. I was eating like 2 or 3 cups of rice a day. Now it's like 1 cup at most. Okay, note to self, from now on, only get one of these. Because they are big. I tried to ask him how big these cookies are, but I guess what they said didn't really register in my mind as far as how big they are, and these are big cookies. One will do just fine. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close out this vlog already. I am probably going to put a Sightless Sunday video up a little later. And in the meantime, if you like what you're seeing, I hope you'll like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the Sightless Sunday video coming up here pretty shortly. Bye.